Unscripted.
You know, it's so cool to see everybody's playing the PlayStation 5 and already have their hands on it. And, you know, a lot of these people like Digital Foundry or IGN or these outlet sites have the PlayStation 5 and they're talking about it. And I've kind of covered that already a little bit in terms of what was actually available and what they're actually able to talk about. Now, oddly enough, some of the things are still embargoed, like what they can actually mention and what they can say in terms of what the PlayStation 5 can do. And that's understandable because the Xbox Series X is also embargoed as well. Again, I mean, you could question about why. I think probably one of the bigger questions with it is, you know, how does the embargo stack up with some of the other things that we've seen? I mean, realistically, if I had an Xbox Series X right now, even if it wasn't embargoed, what the heck could I play on it, right? Like that would be sort of a question. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why it's kind of cool that Sony packs in Astrobot, at least, with every PlayStation 5, so you get an idea of what the console can do and what it's capable of doing. Digital Foundry has taken to talking up multiple things, and I know Digital Foundry is a little bit of a well, let's just say, we don't have to say that Digital Foundry is a controversial site. I think they do their job. And basically, a lot of people go, well, don't they just drive fanboys and console wars? I might have thought that way years ago, but to be honest with you, I think they kind of do a service now. Like, we take these companies at their word when they say something. But at the end of the day, if nobody's testing these things, how do we actually know that we're getting what we're promised? And I think that's where they come into play. And I don't know if anybody else sees it the same way I do, but I look at it as sort of they're doing a service for us. You know, if somebody's saying we're getting something, whether it be frame rate or resolution, and we're not getting that actively, then I think there's a little bit of a problem, and they should be called out for it. So, again, this is very interesting to see this. They were talking up various aspects of the PlayStation 5. One of the things that I thought was very interesting was they were talking about they have a surprise, right? They have a surprise in a good way about the PlayStation 5, and they just weren't allowed to talk about it just yet, but it was going to be very surprising to see sort of what they had coming out. So, again, this is going to be something that we see, you know, I think we're going to see this come out, you know, a little bit here and there, that the PlayStation 5 is a little bit more intricate than a lot of people gave credit for. And in the same time, they're talking about how it kind of stacks up to the Xbox Series X and things like that. They did unboxings or whatever. I get it. Like, listen, I talked about silliness in one of my other videos earlier, and that's the truth, right? Like, some of this stuff is just plain silly when you think about it, right? Like, think about it this way. How silly is it that people on the internet are arguing over packaging? The packaging of these consoles, right? Like, the packaging that they're coming in. Like, that has any kind of bearing or impact on anything. I mean, look, for me personally, I looked at the Xbox One X as brilliant packaging. It was super high-end. So much better than the PS4, PS4 Pro. But at the end of the day, it did nothing. It meant nothing. You know, because it didn't matter because the games weren't there. You know, I think that people kind of forget that stuff, and they probably shouldn't. I mean, the most important part of game consoles are the games. I mean, it's funny because at the end of the day, you have Digital Foundry really talking up everything PlayStation right now. I know there's some people that maybe feel like Digital Foundry is biased or whatever. I don't know. Maybe in my early days, I would have thought that. I don't really particularly think that way anymore. I just think that, you know, what you kind of get, you get. And, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like Sony's done a much better job at, you know, doing things that are actually game related. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, this is really a good thing. This is for people that are gamers in particular, right? Like, the focus is, if you've been a console gamer for your whole life and you love console gaming, why wouldn't you go with PlayStation, right? And I'm not telling you what to do. Obviously, people can spend their money however they like. What I'm saying is, they're really focused on the console. Microsoft, even now, they've got a console launching in under 2 weeks, but yet they still can't stop talking about cloud gaming and PC gaming, right? Like, come on, talk about your new console. Where's your games for your new console? I don't understand it. But anyway, you know, John Linneman has done a really, really good job of sort of talking up the PlayStation 5, and he has one now, and he's been able to check it out and stuff like that. But He did come out and say this. He says, yeah, this remains the best looking game released this year for next gen consoles. Absolutely stunning to behold. Bluepoint Games absolutely nailed it. We'll have more to say about it soon, a lot more, in response to the Demon's Souls gameplay trailer number 2. He says, seriously, this might go down as one of the best launch games of all time. Yes, it's a remake, but that doesn't take anything away from it for me. This is a game that you will keep in your library and play for years to come, I'd imagine. That's not where the praise stopped. His first PlayStation 5 video is up, and he was limited in what he can say, but he can say that Astro's Playroom is a true delight and a DualSense, a genuine next-gen experience. Seriously, and this is something that we've been hearing a lot about. A lot of the Xbox fanboys, you know who you are, were making fun of the DualSense controller, saying it was a gimmick, saying it was this, saying it was that. Again, I think this is something that a lot of people will have to sort of come into recognition with, right? Like, they are doing a fantastic job. Not only is Sony and the PlayStation 5 have the best looking games launching on the next gen consoles despite having a lesser console allegedly, but they also have, you know, games that are just phenomenally well put together. I just think that they've done a really good job of doing this, and I will link all this stuff in the description so you guys can check it out as well. You know, this is really incredible stuff that we're seeing. Even something like Astro's Playroom, well, I'll get some crap for it. I understand that, because people think that I don't like cartoon games or whatever, which has never been the case. I've always explained you can have these type of games if they're in between like AAA games as well. You can't expect these to take up the full mantle, though. You know what I mean? These are the dessert, not the buffet. So Astro's Playroom is a flawless 60 frames per second in native 4K, and the first-hand analysis from the tech specialists for the PlayStation 5 have been uploading, and they chose to center around Astro's Playroom. And the main takeaways they had was the game's running at a flawless 60 FPS in full native 4K with a razor-sharp start to the next generation. They've also noticed that the title features rudimentary ray tracing, especially on glossy surfaces like the metal detail on Astrobot's helmet. So there was some additional observations as well. The game includes an update which massively changes the visuals. So if you do get the game, remember to update it, because it really does change and make a big difference. Digital Foundry points out that the PS5 consoles have been in production for quite some time, and so developer Asobi team had plenty of extra time to polish the title between manufacturing starting and now, and this has resulted in some massive improvements, including animated foliage and shadowing, and you can still play the full game without the update. But obviously I'd recommend, and they recommend, you install the patch before diving in, because it's so much better. But yeah, this is the type of stuff that we keep seeing come out, and it's really nice to see that Sony is really focused on this kind of stuff. You know, they seem really much more gamer focused, and you know, and I really like that fact. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of this other stuff would be fine as like, oh, here's this little bonus, here's this little thing, but at the end of the day, it's like that's not, you know, it's much like how they treat, you know, like State of Decay 2 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a AA game. That game got a lot of crap because it was busted up, but maybe it wouldn't have got as much crap if they had released a couple of AAAs between it, right? The fact of the matter that there's no spotlight, like that game is purely in the spotlight because they don't have anything else, really hampers it. Now, I loved Astrobot VR Rescue Mission. One of my favorite games. Not just because it's VR, but just the platform specifics of it was one of the best platformers I've ever played. And I don't say that lightly. I don't even remember what the Metacritic score, but it was like a 90 plus Metacritic, which is like better than anything that Xbox has gotten this entire generation outside of Forza Horizon games, right? I mean, I know you're going to say, no, Ori, but Ori's not an exclusive. That's on Switch. Both of them are. So that's not even an exclusive. So we can't even go there with that. So again, Sony seemed to really know what's going on. They really know how to sort of go out there and get people excited about their console, and I think that really helps, and that's something that is going to really change how people kind of adopt and go after the next generation itself, right? Like, this is something that obviously, you know, we're all going to have, you know, a console. Maybe at some point we'll all have both consoles, or you know, however we decide to do it. But at the same time, it's just nice to see that Sony's been kind of attacking things a little bit differently and maybe going after things differently. But at the same time, you know, it's still a console, it's still a very powerful console, and you know that Sony's on the right track when the Xbox fanboys, the only things they can talk about lately are RDNA 2. Again, it's like, I've seen it. It's funny because I'm a sports fan, and I don't, you know, I'm a Ravens fan, so I don't like the Steelers, the Browns, or the Bengals at all. But it's like, there's this little circular thing where it shows like Baker Mayfield's progression. You know, like play a great game, against a bad team. You know, call out your haters, play bad against a good team. You know, play underdog mentality, and it's like goes round and round. That's how it is with like Xbox fans, right? It's like RDNA 2, 12 T-flops, old games. You know, it's like anything to keep the packaging, anything to keep the focus off the actual games and lack thereof. They'll use, right? Like, to me, that's always just a ridiculous thing because none of that stuff matters. It's just the games. So I would be very much impressed and appreciate if you guys would let me know what you think. Please sound off in the comments below. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing, hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. It does mean a lot to me personally. And I really hope you take care of each other. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. I'm Crapgamer. This has been Crapgamer Reviews. Have a great evening. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.